Okay, guys, right now it's time for us to work on the block API fully, understand? So this block API, what are we doing here? What is it? What is it about? So this block API, you can list out blog contents, you can view the list of blogs, you can view the detail page of each blogs. You understand? So you can create new articles, you can create new blog articles, the author of a blog can update or delete these articles, right? So we're going to work on that. You understand? So we're going to work on the CRUD operations, and we're also going to add some permissions whereby only the author of a blog can update the blog. Only the author of a blog can also delete this blog if he wants to. You understand? So we're going to work on all these features on the back end before we start implementing it on the front end. You understand? So back to our code now. We're going to go down to our Django model. You understand? So our Django model. So in the last video, I talked about showing you how to use this access key to gain access to protected routes. So we are going to do that, whereby if you are not logged in, if you don't have this key, you can't create a blog. So we are going to work on that now. So back to our code. I'm going to close, I'll leave those. So I'm going to open a new, I'm going to open my models.py file, and it's in your blog app. In your blog app, there's a file called models.py. So open it up. So yeah, we're back here again. So we're going to create a blog model. We're going to say class. So what are the characteristics of a blog? A blog is meant to have a title. We're going to say models.model. A blog is meant to have a title, right? And that's going to be a character field. We're going to say models.character field. Now say max length should be, let me just say 255. A blog is going to have a slug. We're just going to say equal to, going to say models.slug field. I'll just simply say, okay, things. I'll say unique should be true and null should be equal to true. Sorry, not null, but blank should be true. Blank should be true. And the max length should be 255 also. So a blog is also meant to have the contents or the body. Let me just say, let's call it body. And this is meant to be, let's call it content. I think content is much more descriptive. Let's say contents. So that should be a text field, models.text field. A blog is also meant to have the author, the writer of this blog, the author, right? And that's going to be a foreign key relationship to our user. I'm going to say models of foreign key, right? So it's going to be this custom user. But the best way to do the best way to do this is to get the user from the settings of power file. We are meant to reference it from here. That's the best way to go about it. I'm meant to point to the user from this auth user model. So how do you go about it? So remember the auth user model is in your settings.py file. So you're going to say from django.conf import settings, right? So we are trying to link up the user and the blog. You understand? That's because a blog is written by a user, right? And we're using a foreign key because a user can have several blogs, and a blog can only be can only belong to one user. So it is a one to many relationship. A user can have several blog, and a blog can only have one user. So you're going to say models as foreign key. We're going to point to this custom user. We are going to do that through the settings.py file. I'm going to say settings dot auth user model auth underscore user underscore model. Remember, we have that here. Here is it, right? Okay. And then we're going to just say relate. We're going to say on delete. So whenever you delete a particular, let's say on delete, whenever you delete an author, want to simply let the blogs stay. I'm going to say models.set null. Want to keep the blogs models.set underscore null. Now say related name. I'm going to add the related name. Related name should be equal to, I'll simply just say blogs, and I'll set null to true. So we've got the author. So what next? I want to also get the dates this blog was created. Can I just say created should be equal to models.date field. I just say models.datetime field. I'll say auto underscore now underscore add should be equal to true. So what this auto now add does is that whenever you create a blog, it's going to record the time the blog was created. So I'm going to also add the updated field. So whenever the blog was updated, we want to also get the time. So I'm going to say models.datetime field, and we're going to say auto underscore now should be equal to true. So what this means is that whenever a change is made on the blog, it's going to capture the time any change is made on the blog. All this auto now true does. But as for auto now add, it simply captures the time this blog was first created. Instead, so you want to also have a published field. Instead, you can create a blog and not publish it yet. So you want to also capture the time this user is going to publish this blog. Understand? If the blog is not published, it cannot appear on the home page. It cannot appear here. It can only be seen in your profile. It cannot appear on the index page, right? So right now, I'm going to say published. So published. So I'm going to just say, let me just call this created ads, not just created, updated ads. That's more descriptive. And I'll say published time should be equal to, I'm going to say models.datetime field. So now I'll say auto underscore now underscore hard. Sorry. We're going to say blank should be equal to true, and null should be equal to true. So I'll let you know when we are going to record, when we are going to catch this published time. And the last field is, I'm going to say is draft. Remember, by default, if you create a blog, it's going to be set to draft. That means the blog cannot be seen by the public. It can only be seen by you, the owner of the blog. So if your blog, so by default, I'm going to say models.boolean field. I'm going to say default should be equal to true. Whenever you create a blog, it will be set. So I'm going to set it to. It's going to be a draft blog whereby it is not. It can't be seen by the public. It can only be seen when you turn off this is draft field. You understand? That's when it can be seen by the public. And right now, our blog is going to be. I want to also give our blog some categories, right? Right now, let's give our blog some categories. I'll paste this code here. It's a simple one. We are going to use a choice field. So our blog can either fall in the technology, economy, business, sports, or lifestyle category. You understand, right? So now I'm going to add a new field and I'll say category should be equal to models dot character field. And I'll say max length. I'll say max length should be equal to. So we're going to say max length should be equal to, let's say 255. I will say choices should be equal to category, right? And then we're going to then say what next. We can just say, let's just say blank should be true and null should be true. Also, our blog is meant to have a picture. It's meant to have an image, right? Something like this, right? Something like instance. So we're going to say featured image. Now say models.image field. And I'll just say upload to. let me just say blog underscore img, and I'm gonna say blank should be true and null should be equal to true. So I think we've got all what we need for our blog. We've got everything. So we're going to add a class meta. I'm going to say class meta, whereby I want to simply order our blog by the published date. I'm going to say order, and I'll say it's going to be, I think it's called ordering, should be equal to. So right now I want to make sure that the blog that was published last appears first. Whereby if a blog was published last, I want to make sure that blog appears first instead. So right now what we have up here is the last published blog. So this is the first published blog. So right now I want to simply make sure that the blog that was published last appears first. I want to just say minus published dates. Let me just copy this. Published time, that's the name of the field. Published time, copy it, paste it here, and I'll return our string function. Now just let me just say def underscore xcr underscore, and I'll pass in the self. Now save return self.title. So yes, we've got this already. So what's the next thing now? So right now, I want to work on, want to customize the blog save method. What do I mean? So whenever we save the blog, want to capture the value want to simply provide a value for the slug, and want to also provide a value for the published time whenever the blog is saved. You understand? The value for the slug can be gotten from the title, and the value for the published time can be gotten from this field is drafts. Whenever this field is converted to false, by default it is true. Whenever it is converted to false, I want to capture that time it was converted to false. Whenever it's converted to false, that means the blog has been published. You understand? So we are going to customize our save method to undo these two cases for the slug and the published time. Let's look at that next. Time for us to customize the blog save method. So I'll paste the code here to make things faster, and I'll explain what's going on. So we have the save method. What is it doing? First and first, let's import Slugify. So I'm going to just say from django.utils.text import Slugify. Yep. So we've got our Slugify imported now. So what are we doing now? First and first, we want to simply provide a value for our slug based on the blog's title. We want to get the value for the slug from the blog's title. So I'm going to show you what a slug looks like. I really hope you know what a slug looks like. So I'm going to just search for you can see we have some links. I'm going to click on this link. Right now you can see we have this. You can see the title of this article. The title is how I built the world's best Next.js AI scheduling app. Here is the blog title, right? If you come over here, you can see over here, this is the slug. The slug was generated from the blog's title. You understand? The slug, you understand? So we've got, so for it to access, remember we have a list of articles here, right? A list of articles. For you to access each of these articles, we used to use the article slug, and the article slug is gotten from the article's title. You understand? So if I click on this now, you can see up here we have the title is called 9 interesting open source projects. The slug is also called 9 interesting open source projects. And we check closely, the slug they are all in small letters, and they are all separated by an hyphen. So that's what it means for it to be slugified. The title was slugified, and it was now converted to small letters, and they were separated by hyphens. You understand? So that what is happening there, right? So that's what a slug is now. So a slug is gotten from your title. So what are we doing? So we are getting right now we have to get our blog title. We got it. After getting the title, we have to slugify it. You understand? Slugify it is making it to be in small letters, and each word is separated by an hyphen. After doing that, you have to simply get the value and pass the value to this variable called base log, right? So then we have to create another variable called slug, and this is another variable called slug, and this slug is simply holding the is simply pointing down to base slug. Nothing is happening. So what are we doing now? So right now, we want to make sure that our slug is unique. If we check closely now, this slug has a random character appended to it. This random character is what ensures that the slug is unique, because we're going to be getting each of our blog posts by their slug. And to get them, every blog post must have unique slug. So let's make sure our slug is unique, right? That's the aim. That's the aim, right? So how do we go about that? We have to declare a variable. We have to declare a variable called number. And this number holds the value of 1. So over here, we have this loop. So right now, we are going to simply loop through all our blogs and check to see if any of the blog slug already exists. You understand? We are going to check before we save a new blog. We are going to check all the blogs we have and see if the new blog we are about to save, if the slug of that new blog already exists in our database. We are going to check. We are going to check for it. So we are going to check for it. So if this condition is true, this loop will keep running and to keep checking if there. So right now, if the new blog we are about to create, if the slug of the new blog we are about to create already exists, this loop is going to keep on running, to keep on running. See, it's going to keep on running, right? So when does it stop? So right now, if the slug of the blog we want to create already exists, what are we going to do? We are going to simply append this number to the slug to make it unique. So that's what we did here. We had to append this number to the slug to make it unique. So after doing that, we are then going to increase this number by 1. We increase it by 1. Understand? We have to increase it by 1 so that we don't have to keep on appending only this figure 1 to our slug. Hope you understand. Hope you understand that what is happening. So why this condition is true. So if we find any slug that already, if we find that the new blog we're about to create, if the slug already exists, we're going to keep on increasing the value of number. Understand? So we're going to keep on increasing the value of number so we can append it to the slug to make it unique. I really hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So once we are done with this command, we are then going to say the current blog. We're going to say the slug should be equal to this slug. Understand what we are going to do? So this command, this function, yes, it enables us to get our slug from the title, from the slugified blog title. But if the slugified blog title already exists, then we have to come down to this while loop to append this number to the slug to make it unique. Hope you understand. So that's that. So that's it now. So what next? We also talked about this publish time. So how do we capture the value? Let's call it publish dates. That's more friendly, not publish time. And it should be publish dates, not time. Yeah. So for the publish time, as for the publish date, I said that by default this is draft is set to true, right? So what we are going to do is this now. So if so, right now, whenever this is draft is set to false, that means the blog has been published. I want to capture that time the blog whereby this is draft is set to false. I want to capture that time. Want to capture that time, right? So right now everything's going to happen in the save method, because you get, so if you're updating the slug, you're going to save the blog. If you're updating this is draft, you're also going to save the blog. So everything is happening in this save method. So over here, I'll just paste this command, paste this code. So what's going on here is simple. So by default, draft is true. So right now we are trying to say if is draft is false, if it is false, that means we've converted the block from draft to published. So if it is false, and also if self.isPublished date is none, right? If it is none, if self.isPublished date is empty, if it has no value, right? I'm going to simply set the published date to the current time that this stuff happened, this stuff occurred, right? I want to do so. Right now we have to import time zone. So hope you get what I'm saying. So if this is by default, let me import time zone. I'm going to say from utils import time zone from Django.utils. So get what I was saying now. So by default, is draft is set to true. If it is if it is draft, that means the blog has not yet it's not yet published, right? So right now, if his draft is set to false, that's to say that the blog is being published. And we're also going to check if this published date is none. If it is empty, if it has no value, we are then going to simply update the value of the published date to the current time this condition, this condition took place, right? So that's that. And over here, we'll simply just save we are going to call the save method on this function. And that's all we need to do. And I hope everything works fine. So right now we have done with our blog model. What next? Let's go work on the serializers.